Hello, fabulous friends and fans. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of March 8th, 2015. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It's all about Mars this week, especially as we head towards the middle of the week. Mars will be meeting Uranus in the sky, speaking with Jupiter in supreme harmony, and speaking with Pluto as well. Now, Mars meets Uranus in the sky about once every 2 years or so, and so this tends to be a very notable awareness that leads to an important change. Now, awareness, we're talking light bulb moment. We're talking truth seeming to come out of nowhere that makes us say, oh, wow, okay, this is the reality of the situation. And the reality this time is going to be one that while there is that shock factor there, I mean, this is Uranus and Pluto speaking as well to this configuration. What we are also going to have is Jupiter speaking with this configuration in supreme harmony. I look at this and it says to me that yes, some of us, the truth is going to be jarring. There is going to be awareness of the reality of our current situation, but at the same time, there's absolute inspiration and motivation and sheer luck that is playing out at the same time. So it isn't all, oh my goodness, I feel so tense. It isn't all that. It isn't all just when we look at Uranus and Mars. Now, just Uranus and Mars, as I said, it's an awareness, certainly. And things can be very surprising. This is happening in the sign of Aries at that. So I got to say, this is going to be a really, really important time to be careful while you drive, to be mindful of any type of machinery you're interacting with. That's just sort of a textbook way of interpreting this, right? So that's just a very literal kind of textbook way. It's just covering the basics. But of course, the planets are very nuanced, and the energy that we bring to them determines how it is that we experience them. And so as I look at this configuration, I also want to say that it really is truth that opens up opportunities, that opens up great blessings to us now. There's a part of us that is going to be resisting this truth, that may not want to accept the truth as well. Pluto speaking intention to this configuration, but we can see the value of it, and we can see how much there is to gain by moving into the future with bravery and with boldness. So my hope for all of us is that we come from the highest understanding of the archetype of Mars, which is about exerting yourself in the world and living from a place of self-knowledge and wholeness in the self as well. Now, I actually wrote a lot about this archetype and the importance of this archetype in an academic paper that I did that's posted on my website called Mars, the Sacred Masculine Within. So if you're inspired to do a little academic reading, you would be very welcome on my site to have a look at that. But I will say that as I look at the sky this week, the potential for a breakthrough, for where it is that energy has felt stagnant, for where it is that there has been a feeling of limitation or outside forces just pushing down on us. This is going to be a time when we really start to break free from that. We really understand what truly has been holding us back through no longer allowing that limitation to be there. So there's an awareness of limitation, and yet at the same time, there is breaking free and beyond it, really letting go of any sort of past conditioning or any kind of past conversations or expectations that may have been weighing us down. We're really releasing them. Now, I actually have been getting messages from friends and fans out there asking me about this meeting of Mars and Uranus. And I do think, given that Jupiter is there in sweet harmony, given that this configuration is playing out at the same time, it suggests to me that while normally we would look at this, just Mars meeting Uranus while the both are squaring Pluto, we would look at this and go, ooh, watch out. Because Jupiter is there offering so much protection, so much blessing, and so much luck, whatever it is in your life that comes up that makes you go, oh, wow, understand that it is really for the higher good. It really is going to present itself as a catalyst, as an impetus towards making some really wonderful and liberating and empowering and just changes that lead to more happiness is really what it's going to come down to. Changes that lead you to understand where your power truly is and to exert that in the world. Before the week is out, we are going to have two other notable occurrences taking place. The first is Mercury. Mercury will leave the sign of Aquarius. Mercury's been hanging out in the sign of Aquarius for over 2 months now, an unusually long time. And that's mostly because Mercury's been doing this dance, going backwards, going forwards. Now that's done with. Mercury will leave the sign of Aquarius, enter the sign of Pisces. And this lends itself to really imaginative thinking. And so it is by thinking not necessarily outside of the box. That's more an Aquarian thing. But this is more about plugging into source, plugging into inspiration, sort of calming that part of you that can be a little bit critical and saying, you know what, I'm going to let my awareness sort of come to me, if you will. Being willing to quiet the mind enough to allow the best ideas in. This is where our strength is going to be. It's also starting a really great time for people who use words to their advantage. You use words to have an emotional effect. So whether you're a writer or a speech writer, or you give speeches, or you write fiction, or you write poetry, you write art, anything under that umbrella is likely to be very, very blessed now. And wherever it is that you need to feel like you need to tell a story or tell it with greater flourish, you're going to get the opportunity to do just that. Or if not the opportunity, at the very least, the inspiration should come up. But we've got, as I said earlier, Mars is speaking with Uranus and Jupiter and Pluto. Opportunity should be there for all of us in at least one area of life. Finally, before the week is out, Saturn will go retro. Saturn's going to go retro until August the 1st, right around August the 1st, depending on where you are on the planet. Saturn going retro is huge. This is so significant, so important. Saturn going retro allows us to take that energy of Saturn, which is about honoring and respecting the physical earthly realm, and turning that inward, allowing us to see where it is that we may be blocking our manifestation, a manifestation towards what it is that we most desire to experience or most desire to actually tangibly succeed at. So wherever it is that you may have been holding yourself back, maybe being a little bit too critical, maybe have felt that there have been certain blocks to you accomplishing the things that matter to you most, this is going to be the universe helping out so that you can clear any negative things, or maybe we don't want to call them negative things. Rather, I'd like to think that all things have their wisdom and their purpose. This is about getting honest with yourself about where your resistance is and the wisdom and beauty of that resistance so that you can heal that and decide you're going to move into your future. And that really is the larger theme of this week. It's all about the future. It's all about being brave and bold and courageous, whether you're facing yourself or you're facing the world. In some way, all of us are being asked to be a conqueror and to not lie down in any area of life. And if you can summon that beauty and that awareness that there is something within you that is worth not only fighting for, but there's something within you that deserves to experience victory, you are going to find your pathway towards that much easier to see and that much more clearer to walk, especially as we start to understand how the value always has been actually walking that path. It's always about the journey. It's never really about the destination. This week gives us some really powerful insights into where it is that we can reclaim our power so that we can be more present for that journey and make the most of it. Well, thank you so much, everybody out there, for watching. I'm truly so grateful for this moment with you. Especially want to send out a very special burst of gratitude to all of you who've been giving me feedback on the daily horoscope, the daily celestial updates that are exclusively on my website. Now, those are a joint venture between me and Symbolic Living. Love the people at Symbolic Living. Been working with them for a really long time. And so we've got these daily horoscopes there, these daily updates. And so you guys have been giving me some really great feedback on that. So glad you enjoy it. Thank you so much. I've been loving your questions. I've been easing up on the FAQs last week and this week only because some really wonderful stuff, hopefully planning to launch in the later part of this month. Looking forward to announcing all that with you. But Please do keep them coming. I absolutely love your questions. Facebook, Twitter, Google+, my website, nadiyashah.com, and all the other places I am on social media. Love interacting with you guys. Love your questions. For those of you who have questions that are a little bit more personal in nature, you'd like me to look at your personal, unique birth chart, please do consider a personalized horoscope where I can do just that. But of course, I am a very big believer in omens. I'm a very big believer that the universe in all its entirety is constantly seeking to speak to us as part of our unique journey to move us towards greater love and greater wisdom. And my hope is with these videos is that they do just that in some small way in your life, affirm that you certainly are moving towards greater love and greater wisdom as well, and provide you an omen to experience greater hope and greater inspiration. I'm so grateful that you're part of my journey. I'm so very grateful for this moment with you. So how all this wonderful celestial stuff speaks to you in your sign is coming up right now. Hello, fabulous Aries. Well, this week it's about you. It's all about you, especially with Mars moving through your sign, your ruling planet. You are breaking free from the past. You're embracing a very brave and bold future with a certain enthusiasm at that. Now, this is going to present one of the last moments of really this long-term cycle that we've had going. I've been calling it a generation-defining conversation between Uranus and Pluto. Well, that conversation is about to reach its final peak later this month. However, what's unique about this week is Mars is going to just bring home the message with a clarity and even an urgency where you come to understand that since 2012, this process of transformation you've been engaged in has ultimately been for your absolute betterment and your absolute best. So there's something within you that's changing, that's transforming, that's evolving at the same time. There's something within you that is coming to understand just who you really are and what it is that really needs to change if you're going to step into who you were always meant to be, who you've been created to be, and not who you've been conditioned to be, to borrow the words of Jeff Green. So I would say to you, this is going to represent one of those high moments. There's urgency. And so embrace that, reflect on that, allow that to change you very deeply. You really are in the final stages of, for some more than others, somewhat tough, transformative process. But this is really the time when you start to understand that you actually all this time have been sort of kicking open a cocoon and now are ready to emerge more beautiful than you knew yourself to be before. Hello, fabulous Taurus. This week we've got such important energy kind of building in the sign just before yours, a continuation. And this energy is very quiet. It's very hidden. It's very private. This energy really has to do with what's going on below the surface, not in your awareness. However, things are about to come up in a very powerful way. Things are about to come up too much to your surprise. And wherever it is that maybe you have been getting in your own way, and especially where you've been allowing fear to motivate you, to guide you, and getting in the way of your own highest stated intentions, the truth is going to come out and become very clear, and it is going to be a surprise for a lot of Taurians out there. I'm actually seeing this as a time of inspiration, of revelation, of a personal epiphany, if you will, where there's this realization of what it was that you just not only didn't want to see, but have sort of been, whether it's you're doing it or whether not accepting something that ultimately has been sabotaging you. I would invite you to consider, as I look at the symbol, I think about Carl Jung and his whole theory of the shadow, and how he talks about how there are these moments that sort of parts of the shadow spring into consciousness, and it can lead to amazing awarenesses. These moments come up where all of a sudden stuff that was buried deep within you comes up, and you're like, oh wow, okay, I didn't know that was in there. I didn't know I was really like that. I didn't know I really felt that way. Wow, I didn't know I could be so, I could have opinions and beliefs that were either limiting or not very nice. The shadow is the stuff that you don't want to accept as a part of you. Well, you're having that kind of moment this week, and ultimately what comes to light is because it's ready to heal, it's ready to be transformed. Embrace that possibility. This really is one of those weeks that can change so much in your life so quickly if you allow yourself to be honest with yourself and you pay attention to what's happening within your spirit. Hello, fabulous Gemini. This week we've got all this energy building in a part of the sky for you that has to do with friendships. Friendships. I believe I said it last week. I'm going to say it again this week. Not a good time to be mixing friends and money, okay? Not a good time at all to be doing that. Whether it's taking investment advice or going into business with a friend, just hold off a little bit. There'll be a much more friendly sky for that, just a little bit further down the road. This is not it, okay? I gotta say, this is not that sky. What it is a really great sky for is having a conversation with a friend, talking things out, getting clarity, thinking about what it is that you really want to do with your life, what they really want to do, and allowing each other to be inspired by each other, feeling a sense of commonality and feeling a sense of talking being a force of positive transformation, and some really great ideas can come about. It's not necessarily the time to act on them, okay, unless the ideas are totally yours, okay? So if a friend gives you an idea and it has to do with your business and what you are doing, and they're not sort of directly involved in the prosperity of that, great. But if it's something else, just hold off a little bit. This energy is going to pass really, really soon. Also, a really great time to just feel very understood in the best possible sense, and through that understanding be changed. So definitely spend time with friendships. It is in the context of friendships and going to social events that really important breakthroughs are going to happen for you. And these breakthroughs are not just personal, not just about what's happening on a level of your heart, but these breakthroughs are going to have a sweeping effect and can benefit just about every area of your life, from your finances to your love reality. All of these are going to get a shot of blessings as you are able to understand what's really important to you, what really matters to you, and allow that to come forward, to release the barriers that get in the way of you truly shining and sharing yourself. Hello, fabulous Cancer. This week we've got all this energy building at the very top of your chart. It's an important week. You're thinking big picture. You're thinking about where you're going. You're thinking about what is worth manifesting. What is worth manifesting? All of these themes are going to come into play now. This is also a week when I do think a lot of Cancerians out there are going to be having a deepening appreciation of whatever it is that is happening and how it fits into the big picture of your life. In fact, you can't understand this week without putting it into the context of the big picture of your life. There's a part of you now that is thinking about how much further it is something can go or won't go, where it is ultimately that you're going, what it is in the larger sense that you hope to experience in your life. Now, there's an element to this, it's almost like bucket list energy. And what I mean by that is there's an energy playing out here that has to do with you thinking about what's most important in life, what's most important to achieve, what's most important to go for. And as you are having that understanding, something within you begins to open up, something within you begins to understand more deeply who you are, what you really want, and really what is worth giving your very sacred attention to. On a practical level, some people out there, it's just going to be a time when you're working really hard. Career success, very possible to you now, very connected to money. And so there are going to be some Cancerians out there. It's a great time to go to an interview. This is good energy that's continuing from last week, but just amped up now. There's a motivation now to achieve something that matters to you and to have it be something that leads to greater prosperity, that leads to a sense of self-worth. And all of that is amplified now. So sit with that interview, go for that job, ask for that promotion. This week, you've got lots of cosmic blessings to make positive progress on the career front and on the financial front. But of course, in the larger picture of your life, you are making changes and deciding what you're going to carry into your future, what you are not, and what it is that really deserves your sacred attention. Hello, fabulous Leo. Well, you have got Jupiter in your sign, continuing in your sign, and Mars is reaching out to this configuration. You add to this, we've got Mars doing all kinds of things, and ultimately a very harmonious part of the sky for you. So as I look at this, I do think that you want to watch yourself a little bit at work, okay, I gotta say, because I think there's going to be some part of you that's going to be saying, this is not fitting into the vision of what I really want to do. This does not match. Something about the actual work that you're doing may feel like a disconnect with what seems like a more adventurous vision, or what it is ultimately that you're hoping to actually do so that you can manifest something greater. It's almost as if you're feeling, by doing this now, this isn't going to get me ultimately what I really am going for, what I really want. But for all that, there's also lots of really amazing energy, really positive energy that is asking you to have that vision, to take a perspective, to think about the bigger picture of your life in the best possible sense, and to think about what it is that you can put into place now so that you can reap greater fruit further down the road. And really, it's going to connect to your happiness, I got to say. There is an adventure calling you. There's an adventure calling you now. It's going to be up to you to decide how you are going to sort of maneuver yourself so you can take full advantage of it. But I do think that that call is going to be largely undeniable. And if you can find that right balance, which you're going to have to do for now, you may have to actually do that for now, sort of compromise with the things that must be done. Even if you'd rather be doing something else, you are going to find that you actually gain tremendously from what must be done as part of the picture of leading you towards a life that feels exactly what you're going for. Adventurous, fulfilling, more joyful. The whole world feels like it's opening up for you. And this is in the best possible sense, because as the world is opening up, it's actually you that's opening up to more of the world as well, and coming to understand your place in it. And this is your place in it in the best possible sense, becoming more of a universal citizen than you knew yourself to be before. Hello, fabulous Virgo. This week we have got all this energy taking place in a part of the sky that has to do with money. Yes, it has to do with the money that comes from grants, loans, bursaries, insurance payments, benefits, all this type of like tax returns, payment schedules, settlements, commissions, all that type of money that has to do with what the astrologers call other people's money. So this is a part of the sky very lit up now. When I see this sky lit up in this way, this can be sort of the resolution or money coming through for you. This can also be having to sort of resolve a situation not as prosperously as you might have liked initially, okay? So there is some call, because of the way Pluto is speaking to Mars, to Uranus, it does suggest that there is going to be some need for you to find a middle ground, to find a way of compromise. But for all that, at the same time, we do have so much positive energy taking place based on what you've already done, based on what other people are already doing. So money might find you this week, okay? But it's going to be based on other people, what they're doing, and not necessarily on any new things you're going to do. If you can find a way to reconcile what feels less than desirable, because something may feel less than desirable for you, but if you can find a way to reconcile with that, you are going to come to appreciate that the universe actually is an abundant place, and there's a lot more ways of creating prosperity for yourself than you previously realized. What I really like about this particular week for you is this idea of good karma continuing to be amplified now. Good karma being amplified, good karma being the impetus of change. Now, this is a very literal way that this energy is going to manifest. For those of you who are a little bit more inclined towards looking at the sky in terms of your self-awareness, your spiritual growth, I do think that this week is going to provide with a real opportunity to be honest with yourself and to transform very deeply from the inside out. And this is really, there's a sense of psychological renewal. All earth signs this week are going to be going through sort of this, their own personal look at their shadow, okay? Every single earth sign out there in their own way are going to be having this moment. And it really is about being honest with yourself about what it is that you deny, that you don't think is a part of you. Having said that, ultimately it is awareness that creates that transformation. For you, there's an element here of a psychological regeneration, a psychological rebirth for some of you out there. Very possible now. Now it's going to be up to you to catch that opportunity. And it is going to be connected to something that needs to end, a sense of closure, what it is that needs to come to an end so that you can feel that you are on a clearer ground to create a life that feels more honest and more authentic and feels like you're building yourself towards feeling a greater sense of personal strength as well. All of that is going to be highlighted now, and this becomes especially true given the full moon we had last week in your sign, very fortunate full moon. I just want to say, finally, if some situation needs to end, allow it to end with grace. If someone needs to leave, allow them to leave with grace, because that ultimately is going to provide the space and the room for some tremendous blessings to come in. And so accept what it is that is asking to transform, and accept where it is ultimately that you most desire to go. I do think that you're headed in a very good direction, a very brave and bold direction. And a lot of the best things that are set to happen this week are just going to fall in your lap. Hello, fabulous Libra. This week we have got all this energy building in your opposite sign. Such an important sort of high moment, important moment for you in the context of love. Love, so important for Libras now. I am very much of the belief that the universe is working overtime, trying to get you to experience love and connection and romance. And it's up to you to decide if you're going to be open to it, if you're going to be honest with yourself about what it is ultimately that is holding you back from experiencing that love, but also to just put yourself in a position to accept that love is going to be part of the challenge. But I do think for a lot of Libras out there, the opportunity to experience greater love is likely to just feel like it's just swept in, just comes in like out of nowhere, like, oh wow, I didn't know I felt like that. I didn't know I could feel like that. I didn't know that this is how we could move forward. Now, this is going to apply to regardless of your relationship status, but there's so much that is so good and dramatic building in your opposite sign that I do think that whether you are with somebody, this is going to be a time of a renewal, of feeling very uplifted, of feeling a sense that, wow, I really feel like this person's my friend. And if you are not with somebody, if you're open to meeting somebody new, this is really going to provide a time that I think a lot of possibility is going to be there with very little willingness. Sort of sudden attractions could come up, especially in the company of friends. Allow yourself to flirt. Allow yourself to be open. I think only good things can manifest from that, especially given this sky. And if you're one of those people who has an eye towards meeting somebody who's really going to matter to you, you've got an excellent sky to help you along that process. So either somebody will present themselves, or it will be you looking at whatever it is within you that needs to shift so you can allow that in. Here's the thing. You will be motivated to connect with another person, which is great. Some of you will experience this in the context of business alliances, okay? So if there is any opportunity to bounce ideas off another person, go for it. Others, I also think, as I look at this sky, you know, I spoke about in the monthly horoscopes for March, coming up next week, or sorry, not next week, next month, we are going to have in April, we're going to have an eclipse taking place in your sign. We're going to have lunar activity in your opposite sign, lots of other energy happening in your opposite sign as well. So by far, this isn't the end all be all. In fact, what is taking place now is almost necessary to set the stage for even greater love and greater connection and greater partnership that is sure to find you once we get you into the month of April as well. Hello, fabulous Scorpio. This week we have got all this energy happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with work. It has to do with work. It has to do with how you're feeling in your body. It has to do with your daily rituals as well. And I do think it is going to be work that's going to be like a major place of activity, or your work is going to be a major place of activity. So for some of you out there, this is going to be that you actually have more work to do is really what it's going to come down to. You're in demand more. You've got projects to finish. You have overtime to do, along with the pay that fits that as well. And there's also going to be an element here of you, as the demands of the day increase for you, there's also going to be an element playing out here where you're going to be asking yourself what it is that you can do to actually meet those demands on a level of physicality. So there is going to be you thinking about how to take better care of yourself on a level of body, on a level of health. All of that is going to be coming up for you as well. And this week, there's also sort of an appreciation, if you will, of where it is that the day is working with you or not. So where it is maybe that you haven't been utilizing your days to your fullest advantage, there's going to be a part of you almost that gets it, that you actually free up energy, free up happy energy, free up prosperous energy when you pay attention to how you're utilizing your energy and how you're taking care of yourself. Now, this is very hand in hand with career. So career victories very much on offer this week. Motivated to accomplish something that matters to you, all very much on offer this week. So go big. This is a week to go big. If there ever was a time to go big, this is it. Go for what you want. All the water signs this week have a lot of blessing energy for going for what it is that they want. Go for what you want. Take that chance. Ask for that promotion. All of that is very, very blessed for you now. Keep in mind also, just to give you a little bit of a heads up, this week we are going to have Saturn begin to go retrograde, and coming up very shortly, actually, once we get into the late spring and into the summer in particular, over the course of the summer, we are going to have Saturn returning to your sign for like the last little bit of you getting these lessons. So wherever it is that you might have felt that you haven't been utilizing your day as much because it's felt a little easier, this is going to be your chance to start looking at, okay, what is it ultimately that's going to sustain the changes that you've already put into place? What is it ultimately that's going to motivate you to move your life in a more positive and empowered direction in a steady way, so that you're making gains in a steady way as well? So a lot of those awarenesses are going to start for you now as you prepare, especially on a soul level, to have a lot of truths and a deeper sense of achievement and accomplishment hit home for you a little bit later on this year. Hello, fabulous Sagittarius. This week we do have lots of energy building in a part of the sky for you that has to do with fun and romance and kids. Okay, so this energy is actually, last week we had this energy happening. This week there's this continuation of this energy. Kids, big theme right now, big focus right now. What I really love about this week for you is that there is this understanding that when you are open and light, good things are able to come together for you in terms of experiencing a greater sense of fulfillment, creative and otherwise. This is a week, if there ever was a time, this is a week when you could find yourself surprisingly or shockingly, depending on who you are and where you are in your life. There's just so much fertile energy. And so if you want to have a child, there's lots of cosmic blessing to make that happen. If you're not crazy about the idea, you've got your brains and you've got your ability to strategize so that you don't have to manifest that. But lots of fertile energy in the air, especially for Sagittariuses out there. And what I also really think is so interesting about the sky for you is that there is this element of romance. This element of creativity, of the life force, wanting to experience life more, that wherever it is that you haven't allowed yourself to fully embrace that energy, this is going to be sort of the kick that you need to understand that ultimately creative energy is an experience of ultimately that which is most divine within you. That is the big lesson now. That is a big part of the motivation taking place now. I absolutely love this week for you. I think it's going to be a fun week. It's going to be a romantic week. It's going to be a flirty week. You're going to be getting your flirt on, that's for sure. And it's also a week when there's a lot of ideas and a lot of clarity as to what you really need to feel like you're moving towards self-actualization. Now, I recently had this sort of appreciation, this awareness that I am very much of the belief that there's so many parts of the world, I've really come to appreciate this in my travels, where self-actualization is a luxury. People are thinking about how they're going to feed themselves, how they're going to feed their families, what it is that they need to do to survive. Survival is sort of the base of Maslow's pyramid. Survival is the impetus. But once you have what you need to survive, and once you have sort of the basics of your, connections and feeling a sense of emotionally being supportive, we as human beings are able to start thinking in a more elevated way. We are able to start thinking about what is self-actualization. Well, that is feeling well used for the things that you like about yourself in this lifetime, feeling creatively fulfilled. That is what it is to be self-actualized or to move towards self-actualization. And it is a luxury. And when you have that luxury, you should absolutely, it is a responsibility to embrace it. And this is an awareness that is coming up for you now. It is your responsibility to embrace your desire for fulfillment, whether that's fulfillment on a level of love, on a level of creativity, on a level of more rewarding relationships with your children and being a kid and learning from your kids and not burdening yourself the way kids don't burden themselves with things that don't matter. All of this is happening right now, and I do think that this makes it a very special time, a time that is going to reveal to you what you essentially need to experience greater joy. And with Saturn going backwards in your sign, this is going to be you being honest with yourself about just what that is. What is it that you really need? And how is it that you're going to start putting things into place so that you can experience more of that? Hello, fabulous Capricorn. This week we have got all this energy happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with home. It has to do with home. It has to do with where you live in terms of a physical structure. It has to do with your family of origin as well. And it does look like you are going to be asked to be at home or to be with those people in your family of origin, with your primary caregivers as well. Now, there's also an energy that is taking place in all of this that is asking you to transform something deeply within yourself and what you really need. And I think for a lot of Capricornians out there, this understanding is only going to come if you allow yourself some alone time, if you allow yourself some me time, if you allow yourself to close the door, spend time on your own, go into a bit of a fortress of solitude, as I like to say, Superman's fortress of solitude. Go into that fortress of solitude so that you can have that space, carve out that space to really make the most of wherever it is that you are right now, to make the most of the ideas that you're having and the changes that are happening within you. Very deep changes are happening within you in terms of what you really desire to achieve and what it is that's really going to matter to you at that. Now, what I do really love about this particular week for you is that it is going to be a sense of change and a sense of a shifting ground that is going to open up greater possibility and greater understanding for you. And also, I got to say, there's a financial aspect to this, so there's greater wealth as well. Now, all the earth signs this week have this energy that's on the one hand about sort of looking at the things that you normally don't want to look at or that you deny within yourself. And on the other hand, there is a connection to success, a connection to prosperity, integral to this process. So it isn't just navel gazing. Absolutely not. This is not just you sort of thinking about your past and, oh, what happened and the emotions and stuff. That has its place. Absolutely. But you are now making some very practical connections to what has been, especially when you look back in the early part of your life, and what you can do now to create greater prosperity for yourself. And there's also real financial boon and progress offered to you now, based on the connections you already have, maybe even going way back. For some of you out there, I do think that, I very much believe this, some Capricornians out there, you might run into somebody from your childhood or somebody you haven't seen in a really long time, somebody you grew up with, somebody from your neighborhood, or even somebody from, like if you are home in a foreign country, somebody from your country. But it's very likely you already have a connection to this person in some way, some family connection or home connection. And it is through them that some financial opportunity does show up for you. Now, sometimes the sky says, don't go into business with family or don't go into business with friends. But then there are times when the sky says, you know what? You really do want to listen to what your family's saying about money right about now. And this is one of those times for you in particular. If you hear of an investment opportunity from a family member, take it seriously, because it is going to be that can at the very least point you in the direction towards creating greater prosperity for yourself, creating greater wealth for yourself. There is also something to be said for having a deepening appreciation for just where it is ultimately that you believe you are meant to go based on the ground on which you stand. So how strong do you believe your foundation is? When you are thinking about going for something else, do you believe that you've already proven what you need to prove to now launch in this new and bigger direction? That's going to be part of the self-honesty that is showing up for you now. Finally, I do want to say that we are going to have your ruling planet Saturn stand still in the sky this week and begin to go retrograde before the week is out. And so this tells me that this is going to be a week where you start to begin a period of contemplation. So yes, stuff is happening on the external world, absolutely, but you're also beginning a period of contemplation that is going to ultimately lead you to make some choices that really help you build greater financial strength, greater personal strength for a very long time to come. Now that's going to come a little bit later this year, but the process begins now. Wherever it is that you haven't been looking at a fuller picture, wherever it is that maybe there's been a connection between what you desire to experience in terms of success and financial success, that you haven't been looking at any blocks, haven't been looking at experiences from the past, haven't been looking at yourself, this is going to be a week when you begin to get more honest with yourself and use that honesty to create a greater appreciation of just how strong the ground is that you stand on, and allow that to be a springboard towards creating more of whatever it is that you believe is best. Hello, fabulous Aquarius. This week we have got your ruling planet, Uranus, meeting Mars in the sky and setting up to speak with Pluto next week. And this configuration as well, we've got your ruling planet in the sky as Mars moves over your ruling planet, activating the conversation that's really peaked last week between your ruling planet and Jupiter. So what all this means is there is a lot of blessings on offer from other people you aligned with, whether it's in partnership, in love, or business partnerships at that. Lots of supportive energy there for you. This is a time to make agreements, especially this week. Make agreements in terms of partnerships. You're going to find yourself coming to an understanding and conclusions that feel really right to you and feel right in your spirit, in your soul, that feel like you're standing on stronger ground, that feel like you can then launch forward, feeling that much more safe, feeling that much more secure. So there is this appreciation taking place for you, and I do think that all of this is going to lend itself very well towards you ultimately experiencing a sense of clarity as to your mission, understanding of where you're going, and an understanding that you are well loved and well supported at that. Now, there is also an energy playing out here, continuing to play out here in the realm of, like I said, there's agreements, and then there's love, there's surprise elements, there's clarity. I do think that for some Aquarians out there, this could be a time when you end up eloping. Like it's that type of energy. Actually started last week, amplified last week, continuing an urgency happening this week at that. And so, you know, if you're inspired to do that, of course, go for it. It looks good. The sky looks pretty good. You are aware of what is not so perfect. You may even be aware that, okay, it might be a little bit hasty here. However, there's so much optimism and so much a sense of possibility and a sense of happiness and a sense of support now that it wouldn't surprise me if some Aquarians reached out and said, oh my God, or somebody reached out and said, my significant other, said, let's get married, and that person is an Aquarius. I wouldn't be surprised, because Aquarians are going to be feeling like they want to connect. They want to lock it down is really what I think a lot of Aquarians are going to be feeling. But at the same time, this is not necessarily coming from a place that isn't optimistic and that isn't hopeful. So there is lots of hopeful energy in the air. People are going to be wanting to make connections with you and agreements with you as part of creating more blessings in your life, more prosperity in your life as well. This could also be a time where it applies if you're doing something that captures interest of other people. This could be a time when you get a little bit of media attention, or also a really good time to put together a media package, knowing that that attention is certainly going to be coming very soon. And so good time to reach out, good time to connect and share your message, to figure out your voice, but also really solid time to just feel yourself connected to other people and the value that other people bring to your life. Now, all earth signs this week are going to be feeling the love, are going to be feeling the support from others, but will also be aware of where things are not necessarily perfect, and that really is okay. And it is going to be love that also shows you what it is that this larger trend that we've been going through since 2012 with your ruling planet speaking with Pluto. There's been this larger trend that's been trying to get you to be a more honest version of yourself, freeing yourself from the past and the burdens of the past. Well, that lesson is accelerated now thanks to Mars. And so you will be having some very important insights into how it is maybe that you've limited yourself, where it is you've allowed fear to limit you. And that awareness alone will free you from it and free you to embrace a future that is that much more optimistic and promises a lot of happiness. Hello, fabulous Pisces. This week we have got all this energy happening in the sky, and the part of the sky for you that is financial energy for you taking place. I love this energy for you. It just suggests that you are feeling prosperous. You're having great ideas met with practical progress forward. Practical opportunities forward are matching this as well. Now, all water signs are experiencing some financial growth, some career growth. All of this is being highlighted now for the water signs. But for you in particular, I mean, this is reaching right to the money that you're earning and the money that you are making. So the money you make and the job that you're doing as well. In fact, I do think in the workplace, for all water signs, I think the workplace is going to be busy. They're going to be busy. But for you in particular, I do think that there's a very direct connection. Like if you're working more, it's overtime and you're getting paid for it. But it's not just that. It's not just about the wealth that you're building, but there is a part of you that is really seeking to make your money in a way that feels like what you really want to do, that feels like it's connected to what you're really good at, but also is going to represent a sense of self-value and of greater self-value. This is a time when you could find yourself in a whole other income bracket with just a little bit of effort, but it will require some effort. And it's also going to require you to sort of overcome any kind of, I'm just going to put this out there. There might be some resistance or tension coming from the realm of friendships. And so not a good time for you to be even thinking about mixing friends and money. Totally not a good time to be doing that. But having said that, there may be some tension. There may be some fear even for some of you kicking up that if I do this, if I go in this direction, this is going to create greater space between me and a friend if I improve my life. Some of you out there might actually project this, where you feel like someone else thinks that they're better than you because they've achieved more than you than they had when you first started to get to know them. Keep in mind, that is a projection. That might be the furthest thing from reality. It is a projection and it is yours. So that's going to be up to you to see what that says about your own sense of self-worth and how you're going to heal that and how you're going to move forward from there. So there's a strong sense now of you being asked to step up and you being asked to heal whatever it is within you that gets in the way of greater prosperity. That might just be coming down to asking for more money. It might be a sense of value. It might be that you are placing a lower value on what you're offering the universe. Place a higher value on what I'm doing. If you're self-employed, this is the time I'm going to say it's a good time to raise your prices, because this is going to be a time when you're saying to yourself, okay, you know what? The universe is going to respond to the value that I believe I bring. And that is so true, and especially now. And to initiate changes like that now, to raise your prices now, to ask for more of the universe now, is going to set up a really strong ground for you to experience greater and greater abundance as you go along. Keep in mind, I got to say, next week, we have an eclipse in your sign, going to represent a huge moment, huge turning point for you beginning then. This is the time to connect to a sense of self-worth and to say to the universe, you know what, this is what I believe I deserve. This is what I truly want. And to release any barriers that might be getting in the way within yourself. Begin to implement those in the way that you understand who you are at your essence. And that ultimately is going to open up a whole new chapter of your life in the best possible sense. Well, thank you so much to all signs out there. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.